Hey, Coach Abel here, along with Coach Weiss of the Able Body Experts, and coming at you with a Coach 'em Up, special Coach 'em Up. We're going to explain to you the evolution of human hunger, the evolution of dieting as well. There's far too much, way too much myths and misappropriations and misinformation out there about diet. So we're going to lay a little reality check on you here. You know, Coach, there's an old joke about sex, money, and food, and how they only matter when you're not getting any. And that's true. We're going to leave the money part out of that as well. But in terms of survival aspects, how the human brain evolved is a lot different than what the diet industry would have you believe. So I wrote a little dichotomy on the board here. You can't see it, but I'm going to explain it to you on how you're being sold the wrong information in terms of being able to control your diet. So a lot of people, they don't control their diet, or they have problems with overeating or unstructured eating. Sure, they have a diet, they can't follow it. So what good is the diet if you can't follow it? Now, the fitness industry and the diet industry would want to have you believe that all you need to know lies within what we call homeostasis of metabolism or metabolic effects. And so everything you read about is going to be about vitamins and minerals. It's going to be about calorie control, high carb, low carb. I'm here to tell you that's all nonsense, and I'll get to that in a minute. The way the human brain evolved was what we call the reward center of the brain, which is non-metabolic. Okay, it's about the pursuit of rewards, like I said earlier, food and sex, in order to propagate the species and be strong enough to survive. So these are the things that we evolved to, that we maintain from our ancestors. So the industry wants you to believe that the answer to all your diet problems is an energy balance equation. All right, but in terms of your reward center of your brain, which is way more overpowering, the answer is always reward and pleasure seeking. And of course, in modern day, that means how food tastes, not being hungry, that kind of thing. The other metabolic equation has to do with proteins, carbs, and fat. Well, the modern food industry has evolved to capitalize on that reward center of the brain, and they know that palatability of food, mainly the big three, fat, sugar, and salt, okay, are going to be way more overpowering than any kind of knowledge of protein, carbs, and fat can give you. And that explains why people can't, quote-unquote, stick to their diet. All right? Now, the other myth of the metabolic side of the equation is all about metabolic set points, and we've written extensively about that and discussed that, of course. But there is also in the reward center of the brain what we call a bliss point. So people out there who understand about binge eating or overeating, why one cookie won't do it. Okay, people that are more controlled by this emotional part of their brain are going to eat until they reach what's called a bliss point. Okay, and this is all well documented. So the fitness and diet industry want everyone to believe that metabolic knowledge is the answer to your diet, and it's all about metabolic regulation, okay? So that they're trying to make you believe that willpower and diet knowledge is the answer to your weight issues. And of course, we know that to be a very small part of the equation, because this metabolic regulation has to be integrated with what we call psychological anticipation, this reward center of the brain that is strong. Metabolic regulation, okay, has strong survival aspects. How we get hungry, why we get hungry, when it's time to eat, okay? Those are all metabolic, rational reasons to explain dieting. However, the reward center of the brain, that pursuit of sex and food mattering when you're not getting any, okay, is an even stronger survival aspect. That's why it occupies your mind when you take in little of it. So, in essence, what this can mean is that dieting can actually set you up to be even more exposed to the effects of the reward center of the brain, to overeat, to pursue and anticipate the reward pleasure center, okay? So we need to have someone who's able to integrate the metabolic aspects of a diet with an understanding of the reward center of the brain, which is to pursue pleasure in terms of propagation of the species. So dieting actually is a short-term false fix, okay? It's never going to work. I don't care what your knowledge of carbohydrates versus fats versus calorie control is. All right? The stronger survival aspect is the reward center of the brain, which is non-metabolic. Okay? And it's controlled by environmental and emotional awareness. Okay? Whereas the homeostatic part of the metabolic equation is controlled by more physical effects. So the environmental, emotional awareness aspects of the reward center of the brain, the pursuit of pleasure, is always going to override the metabolic aspects, okay? So this is why understanding diet or ordering a diet from someone online is very seldom going to do anything but a short-term fix. Coach?
Yeah, there's a lot of things when you're, like you mentioned, when you're not getting any food, that's all you tend to think about. And with the food industry, the way they make food products and stuff like that, now we're seeing like 100-calorie chocolate bars and stuff like that.
Right.
Where they're trying to make people believe that they can still have their cake and eat it too, let's put it that way.
It's the fat, sugar, salt.
But
exposure.
It's in such small amounts that, like you said, you're not going to have one of those. You end up eating the whole box of 100-calorie cookies or whatever.
Because of the bliss point.
And so it's just another failure of what people think is their willpower failing,
right?
When it's actually they're being set off by this center of their brain that's controlling.
Way more powerful because it's survival based.
Yeah,
all right.
Because they think that they can have one of these and then they'll be okay, but all that does is basically set them up to have 10 instead of 5.
So if you want to know why you cheat on your diet, or every diet you try doesn't seem to quote unquote work, it's because the industry wants you to think that it's all about a metabolic equation of calories in, calories out, without any kind of understanding of the reward center of your brain, which is how man evolved and survived all this time. All right? Someone, able-bodied experts, have to be able to integrate what we call the triangle of awareness, mental, emotional, and physical, this environmental and emotional awareness of how and why you eat and how you're cued to eat, and we're going to discuss that in the next Coach 'em Up.